Hello everybody, and welcome to the Enterprise Portal for Vendors and Brokers training. In this training, there is a PowerPoint slides, and we have job aids for all the reports that are in the vendor portal. And also there is a job aid for creating agency to agency transfer orders. So I'm going to go through the slide deck first, and then we'll go into the system and look at some job aids and run some reports. Okay, so we'll have an introduction, and Unit 1 will cover the reports available in the vendor portal, and Unit 2 will talk about transfer orders which are going from an agency to another, and finally a course summary. Objectives of this course are to be able to run reports in the vendor portal and create agency to agency transfer orders. So the term agency used in this whole presentation refers to your stores, right? The contract liquor stores. So vendors and brokers will access the new system, which is being called LMP 2.0 through the vendor portal. And this is the link that will be used to access the portal. And the agencies are going live in stages. So beginning in April 19 through the end of June. So basically by the end of June, all the agencies should be live in the new system. Until that happens, it is recommended to use the reports in the current vendor portal and in the new enterprise portal to manage your inventory until all the agencies are in the new system. Now we will talk about the distribution warehouses. They are being consolidated from 4 to 2. One of the new warehouses is in Greene, Ohio, which is just south of Akron. And this warehouse will appear as GRN in the system, in all the reports and everything. Second of the new warehouses is in Groveport, Ohio, which is just south of Columbus. This warehouse is GPT in the system and all the reports. And a note about the payments. Currently the payments are on Mondays, but as the new warehouses come online into the new system, this payment will change to be on Wednesdays and then remain on Wednesdays going forward. This is a view of the screen after you have clicked on the vendor portal tab. As soon as you do that, these links will appear on the left-hand side in a blue ribbon, and one important link is this transfer orders, which will enable you to access all the transfer orders. And the second one is this vendor reports, and this link will allow you to access all the vendor reports. All right. So now we come to Unit 1, where we will discuss the reports. So we will access the reports by clicking on the vendor reports link, and this is what the vendor reports page looks like. To run the report, we will click on one of the report's names, and then the parameters to run that report will appear. These are the reports currently in the system. So we have DC receiving, DC inventory, transfer overview, vendor inventory adjustment, bailment PO and invoice, price bulletin, agency information listing, price information, product information and price list, and then the agency inventory report. And also 3 new reports are being developed. Sales comparison year to year by vendor. This will include district and items as well. And an annual sales summary and annual sales summary by wholesale account. These 3 reports will eventually be available in the vendor portal after the development is completed. So one note about this company toggle. So on the top right-hand corner, there is a company selection. The first time that you log into the portal, it will say bail, but you can change it to DOLC as well. Some reports you would want to run in the bail company, and some reports you would want to run in the DOLC company. So the list of reports which should be run in the DOLC company is the vendor inventory adjustment report, the agency inventory report, and the 3 new reports. So this toggle does not change the menu. So all reports will be still available regardless of what company you're in. It just changes where the information is coming to populate the reports. So that is something to keep in mind. One important feature of the reports is that you can export the report in various formats. So this file icon with the green arrow will be visible in all the reports, and when you click on that, it will give you a menu of options where you can select the export format. So for example, CSV, PDF, and Excel, and even Word if you wish to. Once you select one of these export formats, the system will export the report as a file, and that file you can save on your local computer or email or do whatever you would like to that. Okay, now we will go into the system and run each of these reports. So when you first log into the system, you would be putting the URL in your browser over here, and as soon as you hit enter, this login screen will come up. You will get a login and password for your agency. So after you put in the login and password and hit enter, you will enter the vendor portal, and this is what the first page will look like. So the vendor portal information is available in this vendor portal tab. So after you click on the vendor portal tab, this page will appear, and these are the links on that on the left menu bar. So as you can see, there is transfer orders and the vendor reports. So let's get started with the reports. For the first report, we will look at the job aid and what a typical job aid looks like. So we will start with the DC receiving report. So I'm going to zoom in to this report, and okay, so the first page of the job aid will have a description, trigger, and prerequisites. So description for this report says use this task to run the DC receiving report. This report displays purchase orders received in a specified date range. Trigger is to perform this task when there is a need to review purchase orders that have been received, and prerequisites is that purchase orders that have been received exist in the system. So we'll go to the next page, and the various steps are numbered as 1, 2, 3, etc. So number 1 is begin the task by logging into the enterprise portal, and number 2 is to click on the vendor portal tab on the toolbar. And whenever the screen changes on a step, there is a screenshot and a red marker of whatever activity is being done in that step. So after we do that, we come to the vendor portal and then click on vendor reports to access the reports. And then all the reports can be viewed. So our first report is DC receiving, so we will click on that. As soon as you click on that, the parameters to run it are visible. So there is a from and to date, so you can put in the from and to date that you want and click on view report. As soon as you do that, the report runs and the information is displayed. So I'm going to zoom in so that we can view the information on this report. So we have the date, the distribution center. So remember from the slides, we know that GPT means Groveport and GRN means green. And then there is a brand code, authorization, receiving number, the number of cases, and the case count, and the vendor number. So that was the job aid for the DC receiving report. And now we will run the next report. And our next report is the DC inventory report. So for that, we will go back to vendor reports and then click on the DC inventory report. So today's date is usually populated in the to date, and the from date is one date before. So we're happy with that. So we leave the from and to dates for now, and click on the view reports button. And also notice that I'm in the Bail company. So this is pulling up all the information from the Bail side. As you can see over here, this report has 11 pages. If we click on this next page, we'll go to the next page. And on this icon, we will go to the last page. So as you can see, we have vendor report number, etc., and the date, and the brand code and name, status as well. These two columns, GPT and GRN, show the inventory of each of these items in those warehouses, and the top and the extreme right column is the total. So let us click on this last page and then scroll down on the last page. So we are on page 11 and we can scroll down. So this is the total of the inventory in the Green and Groveport warehouses, and this is the total of inventory in both the warehouses. Right? So this is the information visible in the DC inventory report. So basically, this tells you for what item the quantity is in each of the DC warehouses. Okay. Next, we will run the transfer overview report, and to go back, we just click on the vendor reports link, and then we will select transfer overview. The transfer overview report needs a transfer order number to be populated. If we know the number, we can enter it directly here, or we can select it from the drop-down list. So in the environment that I am in, the transfer number is not available. So what I can do is I can go to the transfer orders link, and unfortunately there is no transfer order available here. So for this one, I'm going to go to the job aid. Okay, so this is the job aid for the transfer overview report. So we have put in a transfer order number in the transfer order screen, and I'm going to zoom in so that we can see the whole transfer order. So over here we see the from agencies and the to agency. So we see the agency number, name, and address. And in this area, we see the items in the transfer order. So we see just the one item. And then the order column shows the bottles on the initial transfer order. Shipped is showing 12 bottles and ship remain is empty. And received is showing 12 and receive remain is empty. So this also is showing us the order status as received. So in this case, the order has been created, approved by the OLC, shipped and received. So if this order was not shipped, this 12 quantity would appear in the ship remain column. And if it was not received yet and was in transit from the first agency to the other, the received remain would show 12 and the received column would be empty. Okay, so now we go to our next report, which is the vendor inventory adjustment report. And this one, we will look at the job aid as well. So we click on the vendor inventory adjustment report, and we see the parameters. So we change the from and to date to see the vendor inventory adjustments, and then click the view report to see all the adjustments made. So this is what the report looks like. So basically we have a date and a journal column, and then the reason, brand, name, and the DC if there is, and the quantity of the inventory adjustment. And this quantity unit of measure is in bottles. And then we have a bottle cost, total cost. In case there were more than one bottles, then the total cost will show. And also these 5 columns are optional, and these 5 columns capture the situation surrounding the damage. So only those inventory adjustments which affect vendors will show on this report. So for example, they open a seal case at the agency and they find that that one of the bottles is not filled properly or some similar situation, and the auditor determines that the vendor is involved in the inventory adjustment. So only those kinds of inventory adjustments will be available on the vendor inventory adjustment report. Okay. Our next one is the bailment PO and invoice report. So after clicking on the bailment PO and invoice report, we come to the parameters to run. So there is a from and to date which you can enter and then click the view report. As soon as we do that, the bailment POs are visible. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more to see the information. So we have vendor name and broker name, and there is invoice date and invoice number information and the PO information after that, and also the item. So if the PO has not been invoiced yet, the invoice date and invoice number are not populated. If it has been invoiced, then that information will appear in those two columns. And then, of course, we have the number of cases and then the quoted case prices as well. So the bailment PO and invoice report shows all this information. And our next report is the price bulletin report. So for the price bulletin report, we go back to the vendor portal and click on the price bulletin report. The parameters to run are the month. Price bulletins are issued monthly, so we can go to a previous month and run the price bulletin as well in addition to the current month. So in this case, I'm having some technical difficulty. So let me go back to the job aid for this report. So I'm going to go to the price bulletin report. Okay. So as soon as I put in the month, I can see the price bulletin for that month. And this is what the report looks like. So this report captures the price changes, delisted items, etc. And it's a large report. As you can see, it has 101 pages. And this first page is listing all the price changes. And also, we can do a numeric search on this report. So, for example, if we type in Malibu and click the Find button, the system will try to find that search term in the report, and then if there is another instance of that entered text, we can click Next to go to the next instance. Okay. So our next report is the agency information report. So we go to vendor reports and we go to the agency information listing report. So one of the parameters is store number. So if you know the store number, okay, let me make a change here and then see if this report will run. So I'm going to change my company to DOLC to run this report. Okay, so I'll click on the agency information listing report. So if I do not put in a store number or county and click on the view report button, then I should get a listing for all the agencies. So it takes some time for the report to run when it's putting a lot of information. So over here we see the type and style, and in this column we see the store number and the number, name, and address of that agency, and also hours of information if available. And then we have county, tax, and permit in the right-hand column. So if I want to see the agencies in a particular county, I just type in Belmont, the county name. So for this example, I will type in Belmont. And after I type that in and click View Report, then just the stores in that county will appear. Okay. So our next one is the product information report. So I'll click on product information, and we can run this for a particular brand, or we can run it for all the brands. So I'm going to run it wide open. So this lists each brand on one page. And if I scroll down, we can see the information like the case price, retail price per bottle, and the wholesale price per bottle. And if I want to see another item, I can put the item's name in the search and do a find, or I can add the item number in the brand and select the view report. Right? Okay. Our next report is the price list report. So I click on price list, and in this case I can leave the from and to date empty, and I can click on view report. So this is going to give me price list for everything, for all the items. So for example, we have the retail and wholesale prices for all the items, and also to display the feature of export, if you hover your mouse on the save and the green arrow button, it'll say export. Once you click on that, you can select any format to export. So for example, if I select PDF, it will export all that data to a PDF file. So it's exporting the data of that report in the PDF format. And once it is done, I will see this link at the bottom. So I can click on open to open the PDF that it just created. So this is the PDF that it just created. It has 14 pages, and all the information has been exported. So for example, retail and wholesale prices are in these columns, right? And then you can save this PDF to your local machine with the file save as. Okay. So we go to our next report, and to do that, we click on vendor reports. So our next report is the agency inventory, and that is on the second page. So I will click on page 2, and then I will click on the agency inventory report. Okay. This report runs a little differently than the others. It runs wide open before displaying the parameters. So if you want to look at the inventory of a particular item, you can put the item in here. And this is showing the result for all items. So it is, so by store, it is showing what items are being carried in that store with the item name and the number. Then we see a column called minimum and on hand. These minimums are the trigger for the weekly master planning run for your agency. So if your inventory falls below the minimum, automatically DOLC will create a replenishment order for your weekly delivery. And these are the on-hand quantities, meaning these are the quantities of the bottles available at your store currently for that item. The other columns basically are vendor name, broker name, etc. Right? Okay. So we go back to vendor reports, and I'll go back to page 2, and the links for the 3 new reports are appearing here. So we can see the annual sales summary by wholesale account, and the sales comparison year to year by vendor. So once these reports come online, we can click on these and run them. All right. So we go back to our PowerPoint and continue with the slides. Right, so we have some review questions. How are reports accessed in the vendor portal? So the answer is by clicking on the vendor portal tab and then clicking the vendor reports link. So which report can be run to get contact information for an agency? So that's the agency information report. And inventory adjustments can be reviewed on which reports? So that is the vendor inventory adjustment report. So we now go on to our next unit, which is to create agency-to-agency transfer orders. Okay, so transfer orders move items from one place to another, and the vendors and brokers can create the transfer orders to move the bottles from one store to another from the vendor portal. So this is what a typical transfer order looks like. So up top, we have the transfer order header, and this shows the from and to store numbers. And then there is the transfer order number and created date. It also is showing order status and state. So the order status in this case is created, and the state is pending approval. And then down below here is a list of all the items in this transfer order. So we see the line number, item number, product name. This is the case quantity, but the unit of measure for transfer orders is bottles, and this is where the bottles are shown for each of the items. Okay. When we first click the transfer orders link in the vendor portal, this is the page that will appear. So we can see all the transfer orders, and we see the number, from and to stores, the ship date, create date, the receipt date, and also mode of delivery, order status, and state. So to view the number of items in a transfer order, we can just click that line, and the items on that transfer order will appear over here. And if you want to open a transfer order, you can just click on that transfer order number, and the transfer order will open. Okay. So finally, to create a new transfer order, we would click on the transfer order button, and it says new at the bottom, and that will create a new transfer order. So now we are going to go to the system and create a transfer order. So we go to the vendor portal, and we are going to create a transfer order. So this is the link to go to the transfer orders page. So I will click on that. And up top here, if transfer orders exist, we can see the transfer orders, and these are the items in the transfer order. So to create the new transfer order, I would click on this icon. As soon as I click that, I will be prompted to put in a from and to agency. So in the from agency, I will put in 10100, and the receiving agency, I can put in 30702. In addition to direct entry, you can click on the drop down as well and select the store number from this drop down also. In mode of delivery, we click on the drop down and we select courier. And after these three fields are populated, we hit this create button. So the information that we put in those fields appears here in the transfer order header. And this is a system generated transfer order number. To add items to the transfer order, we click on this button called Add Items. Okay, so to add the items, up top here is a list which we can navigate from the page number or this one or the this ellipsis. So if you click on the ellipsis, it takes you to the next range of pages, and 16 is the last page we have. So you can select the items from here, or you can put in the item number over here as well. So for example, if we go to the first page, we can click and select an item from here or put in the number and do the filter. So say we select this 0059B. So we put a check mark and then hit the select button. That brings the item to this lower portion, and this is now an item in our transfer order. The default quantity is the case quantity, but we don't want to transport 12 bottles, we want to transport only 3. So we take that out and put in a 3. After that, it is recommended to click this save button so that the system accepts the quantity you put in, or push the enter button on your keyboard. At the top, we see a warning message saying multiples of 12 only. Quantity here is 3, but that's just a warning message. And it is okay to put in bottles which are not same as case quantity. So same as I put this item in, you can click in the filter or select from the list and add as many more items as you wish and edit their quantities. And after we are done with that, we click OK, and this will take us to the transfer order screen, and we see the item in the transfer orders lines. So that is the item, and we have the 3 bottles. So from here, if you are ready to submit the transfer order, you can click on the submit button. If not, you can save and close. So what the save and close button does is, if you want to make edits to the transfer orders, you can, but it is not submitted for DOLC approval yet. So its state is not submitted. Once you are certain that the information in the transfer order is accurate and you are ready to submit, from here itself, you can select the transfer order and hit the submit button. This is an optional comment screen, so you can enter some comments here if you wish, and then select submit. So once you do that, the order is now submitted and available, and DOLC can now act on it. So now what will happen is somebody at DOLC will look at it and approve it. So its state changes basically to pending approval, and after somebody in DOLC manually approves it, the state will change to approved. After state changes to approved, the shipping agency can then ship the bottles, and the receiving agency can then receive the bottles in their system. Okay, so we go back to our PowerPoint and continue. Right, so for the second unit, we have some review questions. How are transfer orders accessed? So basically by clicking on the transfer orders link, and unit of measure for items in transfer orders is bottles, true or false. So it's true, the unit of transfer on these transfer orders is indeed bottles. Okay, so we come to the end of the second unit and go to the course summary. So in this course, we learned how to run the reports in the vendor portal and create agency-to-agency transfer orders. And lastly, we have a slide which describes the new service center. This new service center is available to vendors and brokers for all kinds of issues or advice or problems that need some help. So there are two ways to contact. There is an email address and a phone number, and any way is fine. Whatever contact you have with the service center will be logged, and they will track the progress of that item. So here now we come to the end of this webinar, and best of luck to you on the new system. Thanks. Bye-bye.